Not many people know the story of Mephibosheth, but despite a tragic accident, God still had a plan. Born a prince, destined for royalty. He was just 5 years old, playing in the hallways of ancient palaces. He carried the bloodline of King Saul. By all human standards, his path was set. He was qualified for a life of luxury, power, and prestige. But in a single chaotic second, the trajectory of his entire life was shattered. News reached the palace. His father, Jonathan, and his grandfather, King Saul, were dead, slain on the battlefield. Panic gripped the royal house. In a desperate scramble to save the boy from invading armies, a terrified nurse scooped him up into her arms and ran. But as she fled down the palace steps, her grip slipped. The boy fell. The stones beneath him were unforgiving. When the dust settled, the young prince was alive. But both of his feet were completely paralyzed. For over 2 decades, this crippled prince lived in absolute exile. His name was Mephibosheth, but the world forgot him. He was taken to a place called Lo-Debar. In Hebrew, Lo-Debar literally means the place of no pasture, a barren, desolate wasteland, a city of forgotten outcasts, hiding in the shadows of the desert. He went from sleeping on royal linen to surviving in a dust bowl. Think about the psychological weight he carried. Every single step he couldn't take was a reminder of a mistake that wasn't even his fault. He didn't choose the war. He didn't choose to be dropped. Yet, he was the one paying the price in the dirt. He lived in constant fear, knowing that culturally, a new king usually executes the family of the old king. He was an enemy by birth, just waiting for the knock on the door. It is so easy to read this as ancient history, but this is where his story mirrors yours. In a split second, everything can change. You can have a comfortable life, a thriving business, a happy family, and a solid plan for tomorrow. And then, the phone rings. The doctor walks in with a clipboard. The car loses traction on a wet road. Suddenly, you find yourself staring at the ceiling of a hospital bed, wondering how your trajectory vanished. You find yourself dropped by life, paralyzed by grief, or exiled in your own modern-day Lo-Debar, a dry place where it feels like nothing grows and no one remembers your name. You start to believe that your brokenness has permanently disqualified you from a good future. But this is where the fierce, unrelenting mercy of God breaks through the noise. Years passed, and King David sat securely on his throne. But David didn't forget his covenant with Jonathan. He stood up in his court and asked a question that defied all ancient politics. Is there anyone left of the house of Saul, that I may show him kindness? A servant stepped forward and mentioned the lame boy hiding in the desert. David didn't hesitate. He didn't ask if the boy could walk. He didn't ask if he could fight in his army or add value to the kingdom. David simply said,
"Go, and bring him to me."
Imagine the absolute terror Mephibosheth felt when royal soldiers surrounded his house in the wasteland. He thought he was being carried to his execution. When he was brought before King David, he crawled on the floor, weeping, and uttered some of the most heartbreaking words in Scripture. "What is your servant, that you should look upon such a dead dog as I?" He called himself a dead dog. He thought his broken feet disqualified him from royalty. But watch the mercy of the king. David looked down at the trembling, broken man and said, "Do not fear. I will surely show you kindness. I will restore to you all the land of your grandfather Saul, and you shall eat bread at my table always." Here is the ultimate truth of your life right now. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. David didn't fix Mephibosheth's feet. he changed his status. From that day forward, whenever the dinner bell rang in the palace, Mephibosheth sat among the king's sons, and when he sat at that royal table, the tablecloth covered his brokenness. All the world could see was a son sitting with his father. If you are watching this today and you feel dropped, broken, or forgotten in a dry place, hear this message of hope.
Finally,
Your brokenness is not your identity. Your past mistakes cannot cancel God's promises. The King is not looking for a resume. He is looking for you. You are invited to the table just as you are. Lean on His grace, because His plan for your life is still incredibly good.